Honorable members, we are about to begin. The Coalition for Reforms and Democracy, CORD, is the political entity Kenyans expect will check the excesses of the Jubilee administration, Kenya's first ever government in the presidential system. CORD has no shadow cabinet, yet critics say it should have one.
I remember during our time, the 8th Parliament and during the Kano regime, there was the right opposition. That is why it used to keep government to the toe all the time until when the opposition took over. But now there's nothing. You remember during the time of Kibaki when he was in opposition, led to Wamalwa Kijana.
I do not believe there is a leadership problem. What I do know is that there is a call internally for a reorganization so that we are able to be more effective.
First, critics say CORD has no legislative agenda, that it is not churning out legislation that could counter government policies that may not be good for the welfare of Kenyans. But Suba MP John Mbadi says the problem is not that the opposition is not coming up with bills.
There is one of my bills which I did in May. Up to now is when it has been published. The VAT bill, which was amendment bill, which was very critical and very urgent. You remember when I started speaking about it, when we proposed it, it is now that it has been published. So I think the process is cumbersome. That is number one. And number two, also the prioritization of these bills.
However, TNA chairman and nominated MP Johnson Sakaja argues that CORD has failed to execute its mandate, it lacks organization and thrives on trivial issues instead of engaging in constructive criticism and offering alternative solutions. Sakaja says, for example, instead of merely attacking the Nyumba Kumi community policing initiative, they should have said what would work instead. A view shared by Kajiado Central MP Joseph Nkaiseri, a CORD member.
Mambo ya kuoppose anything unnecessarily will not make this country to go forward.
CORD's performance in the National Assembly depends partly on the leadership of Minority Leader Francis Nyenze, his deputy Jakoyo Midiwo, Minority Whip Gideon Mungaro and his deputy Chris Wamalwa, while in the Senate the coalition relies on acting Minority Leader Abdi Rahman Ali Hassan, who stepped in the shoes of former Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula, whose election was nullified. Johnson Mudhama is the Minority Whip in the Senate, deputized by Janet Ongera.
Opposition is not the same, because for the first time in Parliament we now have committees. We are working through committees. Most of the work we are working through committees. You find, for example, a chairman of a committee which is in the opposition presenting to the House a question that has been raised and is answering the question on behalf of government.
It is speculated that some of the CORD MPs may have been compromised, thus weakening their ability to challenge the government.
Most of them now are compromised, especially the outspoken people.
By who?
Well, by our side, that is Jubilee. You see, now you have to play, and that is why they are not moving.
Some of the CORD members I spoke to said it is true, but others dismissed the claims, saying the allegations cannot be substantiated.
Walking out is one way of also showing protest, just like voting. Because when you walk out, it means you don't want to participate in a flawed exercise.
And it's all well in CORD as far as its leadership is concerned.
The chemistry is there, on many of the fundamentals they agree. As I said, as these entities that were separate and distinct, now having to find a formula to work together, particularly in the arrangement that we do.
Apart from legislation, CORD says it executes its mandate through public pressure in political rallies and press conferences, and that should not be seen as mere politicking. Alex Chamwada for Citizen Live at 9.